God had given Moses instructions for the tabernacle, the altar, the priests, and their sacred garments. But there was still one important place inside the holy dwelling that God had not yet fully described. It was the place where a beautiful fragrance would rise before his presence. The Lord said to Moses, "Make an altar of incense. It was to be made of acacia wood and covered with pure gold. It would have 4 golden horns, 1 on each corner. A golden molding would surround it, and golden rings would be attached to its sides so that it could be carried with poles. This altar was to stand directly in front of the veil that separated the holy place from the most holy place. The incense would rise before the Lord every morning and every evening. Aaron would burn fragrant incense on it when he tended the lamps. The fragrance was not to be offered for personal use. God declared that it was holy, set apart for him alone. Then God gave another important command. Once each year, Aaron was to place blood from the sin offering on the horns of the altar. This was the Day of Atonement, a solemn reminder that sin must be dealt with before a holy God. Then the Lord spoke about another offering, the census offering. Whenever the Israelites were counted, each person was to give a half shekel as an offering to the Lord. The rich were not to give more, and the poor were not to give less. Everyone was equal before God. The money would be used for the service of the tabernacle. Then God commanded Moses to make a bronze basin. It would stand between the tabernacle and the altar. Aaron and his sons would wash their hands and feet with water from the basin before entering the tabernacle or approaching the altar. They were not to enter God's presence carelessly. They had to be clean before serving him. Next, God gave Moses instructions for the holy anointing oil. It was to be made from precious spices and olive oil, carefully blended according to God's instructions. This oil would be used to anoint the tabernacle, the ark, the sacred furnishings, the altar, and the priests. Everything connected with God's worship was to be set apart as holy. But God gave one more special command. Moses was to make a sacred mixture of fragrant spices for the incense. It would be pure, holy, and reserved for worship. No one was allowed to make it for personal use. It belonged to the Lord. Every fragrance, every washing, every offering, and every sacred object had a purpose. God was teaching his people that approaching his presence was not an ordinary thing. He is holy. His presence is precious, and those who serve him must come with reverence, obedience, and clean hearts. But there was something even greater hidden in these ancient instructions. The incense that rose before God would later remind God's people of prayer rising into his presence. The cleansing water would point towards spiritual cleansing. The anointing oil would remind them of being chosen and set apart for God's purpose. And the sacrifices would continue to point forward to Jesus Christ, who would become the perfect sacrifice for sin. Through Jesus, the barrier between God and his people would one day be completely removed. Exodus chapter 30 reminds us that God desires to dwell among his people, but he is a holy God. He calls his people to worship him with reverence, purity, and obedience. The sweet fragrance rising from the altar was more than just a beautiful smell. It was a picture of worship, prayer, and a people drawing near to their God. But God was still not finished with his instructions. There was another important task ahead. He would choose the men who would be given special wisdom and skill to build everything he had commanded. We will discover their calling and the beginning of the tabernacle's construction in Exodus chapter 31. And don't miss chapter 31, so subscribe now.